Good morning. My name is Russ Lag, and I am your host today for the Big Agent Meeting. Today is November 15th, and if you guys haven't figured it out yet, this year is flying by. Right now, at this time of year is when you're setting up for 2025. So if you're not working on 2025 already, you're already behind, because now is when we're setting the stage for a good solid January, February, March, and April to kick off the year big. So with that, today we have an amazing show with a crazy lineup for you guys today. We have one and only Wendy Forsyth coming to talk to us about, we're going to talk a little bit about Miami, the trip to Miami and EXPCon. We're going to talk about a couple of other things that you guys need to know about that are going on with EXP. And then, of course, we've got Holly Maybury, Senior VP of Brokerage Operations, talking about operation stuff, like what's going on. Is there any NAR changes, any operation changes? We're going to kick through some of those things. Then, of course, we have Brian Ellington with our university update, talking about what's going on in the university. And then Brian's taking over this conversation. I want you guys to make sure you're holding on tight, put on a seatbelt. You might want to wear a helmet. Brandon Brittingham is going to bring it today, talking about what's going on in his world, and super glad to have him at EXP. He's an amazing dude. Just met him in the green room behind the scenes. He's the real deal. He's going to be a lot of fun to watch today, so make sure you stay tuned for that. So before we kick off into the next segment, let's start with the market minute. What's going on in the market? Last couple of weeks, I've been talking to you guys about various metrics and things that you need to know about what's going on in your market. Because we as real estate people, if we want to get paid like an expert, it really helps when you sound like an expert. So a lot of the stuff I've been talking about is about knowing the metrics and what's actually going on in your individual market. We know there's a ton of misinformation in the market. And with that being said, we can become that resource for every single person that's around us, so they know they're getting the straight facts from us, and then they can make better decisions about what they're doing with their housing and whether they want to buy or sell. So this one, I'm going to throw you guys a little bit of a curveball. So something that most people don't get real intentional about unless they happen to be around somebody that's a big fan like I am of new construction is knowing what's going on in your new construction market. So for a lot of people in this real estate market right now, I want you to start thinking, I've got a little bit of downtime. This year has maybe been a little bit slower than previous years for some of you. And the way I want you to start thinking about kickstarting this thing and jumpstarting it back up is to start tagging into new home construction. So if you've got some extra time on your hands, I want you to start thinking about being intentional. Maybe say, I'm going to visit one new builder every single week and get up to speed on what they're doing, where they're doing, why they're doing, how they're doing, what is their pricing, what's special about them. Get to know the inside salespeople there, because here's the fun part. We know law of attraction works. And as soon as I start doing this on a regular basis, the next thing you know, I get a buyer that says, hey, I'm looking to buy a house and I'd like to buy something new. You having that intimate knowledge of what's going on in the market helps you actually be in a position to be able to answer that question way better than most realtors. Because if you wait until that person asks to see some new homes, you are going to spend a lot of time trying to play catch up, because there's really fragmented information about new homes in our market. So it behooves you to jump in, start looking at new homes, start building relationships with the new home construction salespeople. And by the way, when you get going on that, you're going to start to find more questions about that. And it also gives you something you can post on social media. Hey, I'm Russ, the real estate dude. I'm checking out this place with Lennar. Gives you something to put out into social media, show people what's going on in the market, look, sound, and talk like an expert, and you're going to start getting paid like an expert. There's a market minute for today. All right, so next up, we have Brokerage Update, and I have the one and only, the incomparable Holly Maybury. Come on down, Holly.
What's up, friend? How are you?
What's going on the west side of the country?
You know what? Hanging out, being cool, and I'm so stoked to be here because honestly, just a couple weeks since I got to squeeze many of you at EXPCon Miami, but then I got to go to Boston just last week. So I had a couple of days at home, ran to Boston for the National Association of Realtors, but there was so much good information. We wanted to squeeze it quickly into 15 minutes and what you can, like news you can use in your business as you go meet with buyers and sellers this weekend. Does that sound okay?
That sounds great to me. I can't wait to hear what you got.
Let's go. So there we were in Boston, all the things happening with all the cool people. Now, home buyer and seller survey was just released from the National Association of Realtors. It's a really in-depth study of everything that happened in 2023, kind of leading into 2024. Well, home buyer confidence was really solid. We're continuing to see that come back. Now, I know this was one of the worst real estate markets we've seen in a long time. We've all been talking about the transaction volume being down, but the people who needed to move did. What's interesting though, and the seller sentiment, homeowners right now, and this is looking at the home buyer and seller going forward, we see an uptick in inventory, and that started in September. See that low doldrums of August? It was like everybody took a big deep breath, exhaled, and they're bad at it. So as we look into next year, and that's really where we want to focus on, there is no better time to build your business than right now. So the strategic market recalibration, it's coming. We're in the midst of it. We've been in a solid seller's market for the last 10 years. Basically, if you could fog a mirror, put a sign in the yard, something sold. We're now having to be really thoughtful about what we list, how we list it, strategy behind marketing, behind negotiating, how we set our sellers for success. And then on the buyer side, this is what's so cool. We're seeing the reduction in the number of multiple offers. That's dropping off significantly. We're coming to equilibrium. So let's go. What we're seeing going forward and what has been. Last year, we saw 90% of sellers chose to work with an agent. Y'all, this is an all-time high. Only about 6% went for sale by owner. And I know what I just said. You could put a sign in the yard and sell your house. People don't want to. They need that trusted advisor walking through the market, and they need some assistance in that comfort level. So Russ, what you were just talking about in how I am aware of new construction was a seller. That's exactly what I'm competing against. Yes. My house was built in 2004, but I've got new construction going up around me. How do I stay relevant? Are my cabinets the right color? What updates do I need? Because being 20 years old, I'm looking at roof, I'm looking at water heater, I'm looking at HVAC, all of which I just replaced personally in the last 2 years. So those are things to be mindful of as you're having conversations with your sellers and taking Russ's Market Minute. Now, buyers agents, love you guys, all-time high, 88%. They need you, they want you. Please get that buyer broker signed. Female buyers, this is what's so cool. 24% of first-time home buyers were single females. This is phenomenal when you start to look at what's going on across the nation. Now, guys, you're still in the running, about 11%. But for the most part, still married couples at 50%. Kind of awesome when you start to look at why are women more proactive? Well, we are seeing more women graduate from college right now than we ever have before. They're actually going to school, getting jobs. Some of them are higher paying, and so that's allowing them to save and go ahead and purchase a home, which is awesome. Cash buyers, also an all-time high. And I know none of this is probably rocket science or earth-shattering for you all, but I'm sharing it because as you're looking at your business plan, who are your buyers right now? How are you communicating what's going on? And so if I'm sitting with the seller this afternoon, I'm having the conversation of, hey, who are our buyers in this market? Are they move up? Are they first time? If they're first time, great. What things do we need to make sure we're doing to be strategically competitive in this market, knowing there's some fluctuation? Now, the Federal Reserve, let's have this conversation.
Come on, bring it.
So the election's over. Can we just put that on the shelf? The election is over. Everybody exhale.
Yes.
What's interesting is we know the stock market went up the next day after the election. This was mainly due to deregulation and ideas projecting forward with the new administration. Okay, cool. Check that box. Inflation is still very, very real. And the Fed Reserve chairman came out yesterday, Chairman Powell, and he basically said, look, we're not there yet. Their goal is to get to 2%. There's still concerns around it. We will likely see another rate adjustment maybe in December, but the odds of it dropping significantly went from like 80% to about 50%. So really going into next year, what we want to anticipate is we may have 6 to 8 rate adjustments. However, inside sources say it's probably not going to affect mortgage rates. Yeah. So what does this mean for you and I, Russ? This is where it gets kind of cool.
A lot of the
right?
same.
Yeah, it's going to be the same. So throughout 2025, you all, we anticipate the interest rate staying between 6 and 7%. What we saw in during COVID years, that was a complete anomaly, and we need to put that in the rear view. It's really important to have those honest conversations with buyers about we may have seen the lowest rates. And so now the strategy becomes buying the house that is financially important to them to allow them to live the life that they need to, especially knowing that inventory is a little bit tighter. We're not seeing a whole lot, but this is what makes sense. And so they're not necessarily going to see a significant rate drop, maybe again in their lifetime.
Yeah.
Now, this is the other key on all of this. So those delayed sellers, those folks who were maybe married to that 4.5, 5 interest rate, they can no longer wait. They're now at a point that they've got to move. And this is what I thought was so interesting. Why people move, job switches, about 25 million a year, 3.5 million babies born. Like, oh my gosh, think of your house. If you had to bring another human into your house, do you have enough space? I don't have enough space.
I'm good. I'm only taking dogs at this point.
And I love that you brought up puppies. The fur factor is absolutely influencing where people buy, what they buy, like the size of yard, how close to dog parks, all of that. Fur babies are really influencing how we buy. Marriage, divorces, turning 65, people are downsizing or changing their lifestyle. So what does this mean for you? Let's give you some action steps for today. If I'm working on my business here in the next 2 weeks between now and Thanksgiving, what I want you to look at is everybody in your database that's a homeowner. I want you to, one, prepare CMAs for all of them. Send those out between now and the holidays. So post Thanksgiving, whatever it takes, and then congratulate them on their home equity. See, Leo was on stage at the National Association of Realtors this weekend, and this was one of the key tips that he shared that was just brilliant. We've hit rock bottom. We've got nowhere to go but up. Transactions are going to increase. So as a result, if I've got a seller, it's really important we congratulate them on that home equity, because the other thing that's happening behind the scenes, consumer debt is at an all-time high. Credit card debt. So you may have sellers right now who are jammed up. They've got this cool, sexy interest rate at a sweet 4.5%, but they can't make it monthly because of their credit card debt. So they've got 200,000 in equity. Maybe they need to sell. Maybe you are that lifeboat for them. So I want you to think about reaching out, providing them a CMA. And what I appreciated that Leo said this weekend that was so valuable, sellers may be embarrassed. Like when you get financially upside down, it's scary. And so you can be that life raft for someone that you didn't even know. You're just helping a friend out. So always be asking for the business. Hey, if not you, who do you know that could use my services, that would appreciate what I offer? And you'd be surprised who shows up. But if I'm giving you homework between now and the end of December, this would be it. Also, FHFA. That's a mouthful, right? So let's talk about what's happening with these folks. This is basically Ginnie, Fannie, Freddie, FHA, HUD. What's happening is the appraisal waivers. Have you ever done a transaction with an appraisal waiver, Russ?
You know what? No, I did most of my business.
It's kind of crazy. So I've had quite a few transactions with appraisal waivers, but the market was going up. And what happens in those instances is you get the client who's like, what's wrong? They're not going to inspect it. Well, they've got really good credit. There's enough data online that they can actually do a CMA and go, yeah, this is a good risk for us. And it's always been at 80% loan to value. Well, now that appraisal waiver is going to 90%. Interesting. But let's talk about the next one. FHA, or the inspection waivers, is now going from 80% to 97%.
Wow.
Why 97%? That encompasses FHA. If I'm putting 3.5% down, that takes me at a loan to value of 96.5. Mathing is hard. Now, why is this important? Well, we look at the industry across the whole, and as a lot of people refinanced over the last few years, that data is all available in the online management systems. So as a result, we don't have to go out and take new inspections. We don't have to go out and take new photos, all of that. Also, for the most part, most of the US, our housing inventory is newer. It's like built in the last 50 years. So what does this mean going forward? Will we see compression of appraisal fees? Maybe. What's important as you're having conversations, if you're working with a buyer, if they've got a great amount down, they need to be aware of it. And they may not see an appraiser come out to the property. If I'm a seller, they need to be spot on. Do the photos you have online represent everything that you've got in your listing? Does the description match everything that's going on? Guys, don't hold anything back. You want to air everything out because your strategy and negotiations is up front. There's no second bite at the apple with the appraisal. That's really key as we go forward into the new year.
Nice.
Finally, MLS, clear cooperation. We're going to talk a lot more about it. This is a rule that came to us in 2019. And really, we're probably going to see some modernization. It didn't happen this last week, but in the spring, hopefully we'll have more conversations. Enhanced data sharing. Yes, we're seeing big MLSs nationally start to do data share across borders, across state lines. So be wise around that. Access and accuracy. When we look at the MLS, the key to the North American MLS system is access and accuracy. We all understand what a bedroom is. The square footage is all similar. It's got ingress, egress. We've got a window to the outside. That's what makes a bedroom. When you go outside the country, they don't agree.
Agreed.
And that's problematic when you look at one of the most liquid real estate markets in the world that we get to have in the US. So there's going to be a lot of headlines around clear cooperation, that it should go away. It's antiquated. It's not good for the consumer. Quite the opposite. The consumer knows what they're buying. They have access and visibility to see everything. And honestly, all the professional needs is to log into the MLS and be able to accurately look at both the past, present, and predict the future. And that's what the MLS does. So keep that in mind. We're going to be talking a lot more about it. Leo and I are super passionate about it, and we're going to, bring you up to speed. All right, NAR settlement, 2 weeks. The judge is most likely to approve all of the practice changes. We've already put those in place, and y'all are killing it. Keep doing the right thing. Keep protecting our consumers and educating them up front. The EXP settlement, at present, we have an agreement to settle in Georgia. There's some headlines out there. Y'all, people grab headlines, but it's procedural. So as we go forward, we will update you. Remember, you as a member of the National Association of Realtors, we're covered under the NAR settlement. EXP is a company. We are working forward in ours. And as we go to take care of the consumers, this is where we live now. The next 7 years, these are the rules. This is how we go forward. So biggest takeaways as we go forward. Market outlook, 67%. So be talking to your sellers. Be talking to your buyers about what they can expect. Opportunities in the market, I want you to prepare in advance for the client that you're going to meet in the future. What do you need to have at your fingertips? And the EXP buyer and seller toolkits, we're continuing to add value there. So take a look at the buyer toolkit. We've got that whole buyer presentation and a quick behind the scenes, Russ. The listing presentation coming soon.
Ooh.
I'm super pumped about it. It's going to be awesome.
Good.
And if you're going to go out this weekend, guys, educate your clients in advance. Don't hold anything back. Even those clients who are your past clients, friends and family, they don't know what you know. So do not take advantage of not sharing everything. Treat them like you would somebody you're meeting for the first time. Walk them through your full presentation. Earn that business from people who know, love, and trust you. Because if you take a shortcut with them, they may not come back. And I'm seeing it time and time again right now. So honor the people that love you by educating them on where you're at today and how you take care of them at the highest level. That's what I got, Russ.
Great advice. Great information all the way across the board. That was like just boom, 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 firecracker 500. I love it.
That's where I live, man.
Oh, in the last week? Come on. You didn't have anything else?
You know what? That's why I drink really good coffee. Maybe not as good as Brandon enjoys, but I drink really good coffee.
Yeah, good stuff. Well, highly appreciate it. As always, thank you. Great update, helping people future pace and see what's coming and know what we're dealing with. So good to have the facts and be able to share that. So thank you very much. Good
Thanks,
stuff.
man. We'll catch you later.
There you go. Holly Mabry, just knocking it out of the park, keeping you guys up to speed on what you need to do to keep your business moving forward for 2025. There's some pent up demand out there. We got to unlock that and unleash that. And then the next thing you know, you get the best 2025 ever. All right. So next up, without further delay, I want to grab this one. This is going to be a lot of fun. Leadership Corner is the one and only one of my most favorite people in the world, and probably one of the more influential people in my business as a real estate person. Wendy Forsyth, come on down.
Hey, Russ Lagan, how you doing?
I'm doing good, and I'm never going to get old, or it's never going to get old or tired to actually introduce you like that. You're like, when's he going to stop? I'm not.
That's okay. I'm totally okay with it.
Very good. So we got a couple really great things to talk about. But first things first, before we get into that stuff, how did Charlie do on the flight back home?
He did amazing. He's decided now he wants to travel everywhere.
There you go.
To let everyone in on what we're talking about, we were in Miami for EXPCon, and I made it a family trip. So my husband and my dogs came along with me, and I have two small dogs. They're able to fly, in the cabin of the plane with us, and they had an amazing time. They love Miami.
They are just cut out for Miami for sure. It was also great to see your husband, Brian. Could not have been more fun to just meet him and shake hands and give him a hug. What a great guy. Just amazing guy, married an amazing woman. What more could you ask for? It's a match made in heaven for sure.
Thank you. Well, it's fun to be able to incorporate all sides of ourselves, right? Which is the beauty of our EXP culture and part of our industry. So Miami was pretty amazing though.
Miami was next level and just a very different vibe, which I don't know. You haven't been to as many of them as I have, obviously. So it was a really nice feel that was created. And I'll tell you what, I want to make sure we give props to Mindy Grubb. I ran into her right out of the gate day one when I walked in the door, and she was on it, firing all over the place, firing on all cylinders. What an amazing job she did putting that together, and your team putting that together. Fantastic.
We did. So Mindy is our head of events, so has the lead on putting together all of our big events. So EXPCon Miami, was a huge success. I hope that those of you that weren't there, that are watching or listening, will join us there next year. We actually have 3 EXPCon events next year. So we're already into planning 2025, which along the theme that you've been talking about, now's the time to do that. So I want you all to get these dates on your calendar. So first up in 2025, we have EXPCon in Canada, in the beautiful city of Montreal, Quebec.
Nice.
So if you've never been, this is your ideal reason to go visit Montreal with us. And that's happening April 2nd to 4th, 2025.
Cool.
Next EXPCon is EXPCon International. So get this on your calendar. It's happening in Barcelona, Spain.
Nice.
And it's happening June 22nd to 25th.
Good.
And then last up for the EXPCon events, we'll be back in Miami, October 19th to 22nd.
Excellent. And you've got early bird specials going on right now too, correct?
Early bird specials. So you can go to expcon.exprealty.com. We've created where you can bundle. So if you'd like to go to Miami and Canada, or Miami and Barcelona, or Canada and Barcelona for our Canadians, whatever the option are, you're going to get a discount for more than one registration on top of the early bird specials that we have going on now.
Fantastic. Very good. So the future is bright and already a lot of things going on. So let's dig into EXPCon. When the stage was on fire, you guys opened it and lit it on fire.
We did.
That was, I have to say, probably the most surprising start I would ever think to see for the
We
Really?
wanted to come out of the gate and grab everyone's attention, and I think our opening number certainly did that. And if any of you like weren't there, you've probably seen some photos, but Glenn and Leo were great partners in that, and we did the proverbial mic drop out on the stage to kick off EXPCon 2024.
That was probably the most amazing start. I could not have imagined it myself. After seeing it, I was like, I still can't believe they just did that. So very, very well done.
There you go. Well, that was just to get us warmed up for some of the announcements that we then proceeded to make on stage. And that's what I wanted to share a little bit with all of you this morning is a highlight of a couple of those announcements. Can I do that?
That was the next thing I was going to ask. Like, we brought some stuff. You brought some fire. Let's talk about the good stuff. All right.
We brought some fire along the way. So, my job as your chief marketing officer is to obsess on our brand and your brand and how our partnership can evolve and continue to grow and go to the next level.
Yep.
And, one of those things that's really important is how our branding looks out in the world.
Right.
And we've worked very hard on evolving our EXP brand. So we did our brand glow up. Just sort of modernizing our colors, taking our logo out of the box and refreshing that. And that was just the beginning. What we shared in Miami is sort of the next step of that. And we know that all of you are designing and working on your brands every single day. And we wanted to get you the best possible tools to do that in the least amount of time to get the biggest impact possible. Mm-hmm. So we were able to develop the first ever enterprise relationship with the premier design tool called Canva.
Yeah.
And my guess is many of you out there are already using Canva.
Yeah.
So effective December 6th, our current marketing center is going to be retired and it's going to be replaced by our EXP Canva Enterprise Pro.
Nice.
So Canva, if you just go buy Canva or use Canva, you can get a free version and you can get a pro version. Obviously, the pro version has all the bells and whistles.
Nice.
So all EXP agents at no additional charge are going to get access to our Enterprise EXP Pro version as of December 6th. All of the bells and whistles, all of that, so that you can really lean into the evolution of your personal brand's look and feel in partnership with us as we do that at the EXP brand level.
Yeah, so the nice part is you're going to have a lot of templates for people to grab, and then they can get really creative and really individualized versus just like, oh, I like this, but it's not quite exact. Well, now you can make it whatever you want.
Yeah, you sure can. Plus, you'll have the ability on the left-hand side of Canva, for any of you who are Canva users, just think of that as your menu. You'll see the brand kit. So you'll have a whole bunch of folders available to you of templates we've created. But then if you just pick a general Canva template or you want to make adjustments, you can click that brand kit and bring all of the brand colors, logos, fonts, everything over into your designs. You can also create your own personal brand kit. So if your team has its own logo, has its own colors, you can have that brand kit in there so that you can apply it to designs. Fantastic. And there's one more thing that I think is super cool.
Come on, bring it.
One more? We got one more? All right.
One more.
So we are building out an integration with all of our MLS feeds so that we're going to be able to bring in your MLS listing data into our EXP Enterprise Canva account.
Wow.
Yes.
It takes all the manual out of it, right? I mean, it's already there anyways. Just drop it over.
Exactly. So going back to the left-hand side of Canva, you're going to see a button that says MLS feed. You're going to be able to click on that, type in the address of your listing, and all of the data that currently sits on the MLS will come into Canva. So doing things like flyers, open house, like you just listed flyers, open house flyers. You're going to be able to take all the photos, because all the photos will come in, and just drag and drop it, right?
Yeah.
If you want the remarks, you just drag and drop the remarks. So it's going to be super cool. And then with the, you know, resized and like doing different assets within Canva, you can start with a flyer, click a couple buttons, and you've got your social media post. You've got your video that you're going to put on social media. So it's really going to save you a lot of time, and we're excited to start creating with all of you.
That's fantastic. It's like the creative juices are flowing, and the good news is you've got a lot of really great stuff that I've been seeing. I see some of the stuff that we get, and I'm like, wow, this is nice. And that's all that stuff is going through Canva Pro. So fantastic. That's great.
Yeah, yeah, super
So,
cool.
so we're going to be running a little tight on time here. So let's drop to one thing. That the last thing here is you guys took the time to put together an attraction toolkit. You may see a couple of my fingerprints on it here and there, but it was nice to be able to collaborate with your team to put together an actual attraction toolkit. Let's talk about that for a second, because that thing has gotten amazing fast.
Yes, amazing fast. So one of the things we heard from many of you is we've got all of these tools, specifically around attraction being this topic. You know, can we pull them together? And Holly mentioned our sellers toolkit and our buyers toolkit. This is sort of an evolution of those.
Yeah.
So we created a growth toolkit for all of you. So it's all of the resources that you would want to have at your fingertips if you're looking to talk to an agent about our value proposition, about the benefits of joining EXP. So everything from your EXP explainer decks to answering questions that they would have, to resources on explaining how revenue share works, to just explaining how, you know, our comp model works. Like, it is all there for you in one spot on that toolkit.
That is an amazing piece of art that we've been working on for a while. And here's the fun part about that. Because of the way it's built, it's super easy. You just literally grab the stuff at the top that you need, and it'll take you directly into the document where it goes. The fun part about it, and I love this is a lot of plug and play stuff. So when we have something that needs to be changed, it can literally be changed in a span of a very short period of time. So if you guys are seeing something, go in there and say, hey, I love the toolkit. Tell us you love the toolkit. And by the way, if you see something that's not there that you need in there, make sure you let us know, and we can add things, and it's going to be a living document, and literally just scroll top to bottom and it just goes. It's got videos, it's got tutorials, it's got scripts, it's got everything you need to do a great job of attraction. And of course, then we back you up as the growth team to help you guys take your business to the next level in that regard. So brilliantly done, and very, very nice.
Thank you. And I'll give you a little like coming soon on that, because it is a constant evolution, right? So
yes.
New things as changes happen. But one of the most highly ranked sessions in Miami was a breakout session with some of our sort of all-stars, and they did script battle. And they came running in. Some of you might have seen it on social. They had their boxing gloves on and they were ready to go. And like, these folks dropped some heat. And we've got the video, and we are editing the videos, and we're going to post it up on the growth toolkit, so all of you can see how people like Veronica Figueroa answer questions. You know, one of our large attractors, how Gogo Bianca answers objections. Like we've got like the rock stars on there, so all kinds of great info.
Fantastic. It's that I can't wait to see that one myself. I was actually on stage in another room doing stuff, and I was like, but I want to see that one too, right? Because anytime you get Kurt Shewell on a stage, it gets spicy.
Yes, it was great.
Good stuff. All right. Well, Wendy, thank you very much for that. Thank you for everything you've already done for EXP. I love how you've kind of rolled in, and I don't know if it feels like this to you, but it just kind of feels like you've always been here and you're just fit right into the spot. So
it does feel like that. Thank you, everyone, for welcoming me. And yes, it's good to be home.
Good to be home. More amazing things to come. Thanks for everything you do for us at EXP, Wendy. Appreciate you a bunch.
Welcome. Thank you for everything you do.
Always.
Take care, everyone.
All right, there you go. The one and only Wendy Forsyth. She's really just making a difference in the marketing department across the board, top to bottom. And there's a ton more stuff to come. Keep in mind, guys, she hasn't even been here for a year yet. So lots of really cool things in the works, and next level stuff and feel and flavors, which I think is amazing. So next up, Brian Ellington. Hey, Brian Ellington, University Spotlight. Jump on in here, brother.
Hey, Russ. Good morning. How are you, man?
Good morning. Good morning. We got so much good stuff. We're flying today.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, I want to share a little bit about the university before I bring on Brandon, our guest, because he's going to be amazing. Before I do, I read this the other day and I wanted to share this with you. So Roger Federer,
Yeah.
one of the most winning tennis players of all time, 20 Grand Slam titles and countless other titles.
Yeah.
This is what he said. He's talking about the matches he won.
Right.
He said, in 1,526 single matches I played in my career, I won almost 80% of those matches.
Wow.
What percentage of points do you think I won in those matches? Only 54%. Even top-ranked tennis players win barely more than half of the points they play.
Yeah. Amazing.
54% of the shots in the matches he actually won.
Wow.
Right? And that got me to thinking about prospecting and how sometimes we let the shots that we miss impact our mindset and then therefore our activity level.
Yep.
So if you want help improving your game, first off, just understand that we're going to have to adjust our expectations in prospecting conversations, right? View each conversation not as a high pressure sales call, but rather an opportunity to deepen relationship, provide value, and then just let the numbers game of real estate take its effect. When you're providing value, they will use your service when they're ready. So if you want help improving your game, Monday, we've got Level Up for you. That's unlock the 8 keys to a successful listing appointment with Brian Ernst. That's going to be a really good one. Tuesday, we've got Kickstart kicking off. That'll be 6 sessions over the next, we've shortened it for the holidays. There's going to be 5 sessions over the next 5 weeks, starting this Tuesday. Wednesday, we've got Team Mastery. We've got a cool lineup. We've got Elias Studo, Nate Chevron, Monica and Dylan Anaka. We're talking about new agent training. So new team members coming onto your team. It's called New Agent Blueprint Onboarding for High Performance. And these individuals are going to share what they do to train and onboard teams. And then we're going to share what we do in Fast Cap during that conversation as well. It's going to be a good one. And that's for team leaders only. Then on Thursday, we've got the indomitable Brandon Brittingham doing Expand Investing. So Brandon's going to talk a little bit more about this as we talk, but this is going to be a great session. It's absolutely free. Please do join us. He's an amazing mind, as you're about to see. Also on Thursday, we've got the Executive Masterclass from EXP with yours truly here, talking about building your 2025 strategic business plan. That's going to be a fun conversation. I hope you join me for that. And then on Friday, we'll have Austin and Nate Chevron here joining us for a special conversation. And then we're also dropping the lab with a crazy conversation I had with Shannon Maxwell, who really just goes point by point about how to be purposeful in building your agent-to-agent referral business. And she is a master of it, and you'll learn a lot from her. Today, though, I've got my friend Brandon Brittingham on. We're going to talk all things investing. So we'll see you in just a little bit, my friend. And Brandon, are you there, bud? Hey,
yeah, I'm here.
How are you, man? How are you doing, bud?
Good, brother. Good,
now,
man. It's I'm happy to be here. It's a great ride with the XP so far.
Yeah, and we're just getting started. You just joined us, what, 60 days ago, something like that?
Yeah.
For folks not familiar with you, would you mind sharing a little bit about your background as a real estate agent and then also as a real estate investor?
Yeah. So, got my license in 2008, the greatest time in the world, probably the worst recession we've ever seen. And, quickly became, one of the top agents in my state in Maryland and one of the top agents in the country, and then started a real estate team and got to be number 1 in the state and then number 2 in the US for small teams by Real Trends in a pretty short period of time. And, that was kind of my journey to kind of growing a real estate business kind of out of nowhere.
Yeah. And then the history of your kind of trajectory in investing. Did you start from the very beginning back in 2008 or when did you start as an investor and where are you today in your portfolio?
Yeah. So what happened was I initially got into real estate not to be an agent or not even to build a team. I had come from running another really successful business that I had sold, and I just wanted to get into real estate to invest. And I thought that once I got my license, I'd be invited to this secret room where all these agents have all this information about real estate investing. And what I found pretty quickly was that not a lot of people had done it. And so I had started investing in real estate kind of more as a hobby. And then as my brokerage business started to grow, I think it was the first year, as an individual agent, I'd sold like 200 houses. And at the end of that year, the former brokerage where I was at was, I got a plaque and a pat on the back, and it was like, hey, January 1st, it starts over again. And so then I really started thinking about, hey, I don't want to trade time for money for the rest of my life. And there's got to be a better way. And so that's when I started really thinking about, I need to become an investor. I need to learn how to build wealth. I need to learn how to build cash flow. I need to learn how to make money in my sleep. And so then my active income can be put into assets that provide me passive income. And then one day I don't have to hustle as hard as I'm doing. And so that was kind of the epiphany that I had. And thankfully I had it pretty early in my career.
That's awesome. And for folks at home, where are you today with your portfolio of investing? What kinds of investments do you make?
Yeah, so I'm close to 1,000 units, 1,000 doors, and I'm invested in all kinds of things: land, self-storage, big apartment complexes. I'm on the private money debt side, so I'm in many, many verticals on the investment side.
Yeah. And so here's a question for you. There are 1.5 million realtors in this industry, and yet there are not 1.5 million realtor investors in this industry. We're in the market every single day. Why, in your opinion, in your experience, don't more agents engage in building their wealth through real estate investing?
So a couple of things, right? And here's what I think that everyone needs to understand. If you're listening to this and you're an agent out there, right? If you've ever done a transaction with an investor where you found them the property, you told them, potentially what you think it would sell for renovated, you told them potentially what you think it would rent for, you've done the investor's job. You've underwrote the deal for the investor. You've pretty much done the deal. And then you probably were in a situation, right, where later on you sold that property for them and you watched them make this huge sum of money and you only got a little bit, and you were basically the transaction coordinator for the investor. And there's nothing wrong with that. Don't get me wrong, but you could have been the investor and gotten paid as your own transaction coordinator. So one of the things I want you to think about is that money in between that the investor made, you have access to do it. There's this false sense of barrier in a lot of agents' heads that, it's too much money, it's too hard, but you're doing it already and you're helping investors do it already. You're just not getting paid for it. And I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions. Look, I started in real estate with no money from an investment standpoint. I don't have a high school education. I don't have a college education, right? And I quickly learned the investment side and started making enough money where I could go and do it on my own. And I had the same fear and the same false sense of barrier of entry. It's not real because you're already doing it. You're just not getting paid to do it. You're getting paid as an agent, and we should be getting paid as an investor.
Nice. And I know in the expanded investing program, you'll talk not just about becoming an investor, but also as an agent working with investors as well, which can be a great gateway. Give me a practical piece of advice. What's one thing that I could do today if I'm not already working with real estate investors? What's one thing I could do today to work with more of them?
So I think it's understanding, the one thing that I've heard before is working with investors is not my brand, or I don't want to work with investors because they waste my time. You just don't speak the language. And that's one of the main reasons I came here to EXP. And I'm excited is us with this expanded investing to teach you how to do this, because once you get on this side of it, it's financial freedom. I mean, like, seriously. So investors buy houses on math. It's basic math. It's not emotion. We know dealing with buyers and sellers, there's a lot of emotion tied into your typical house sale. What I love about working with investors is it's just math. If I speak their language, and oh, by the way, for most businesses, the language of the business is accounting and math. And data-driven decisions are how really successful people run businesses, i.e. our CEO, Leo, is probably one of the smartest people in the world of making data-driven decisions, right? So investors just look at math. It's all math to them. So if you understand how to communicate with them from that standpoint, and oh, by the way, most buyers and sellers you're going to work with are going to buy or sell one house with you at a time, in a 5 to 7 year period. Most small to medium investors buy 3 to 7 houses a year. So if you understand it and you understand how to communicate to them and you work with a couple of them at a time, you can get to pretty quickly, right? 25, 30 houses a year. Right now, to this day, I'm quote unquote out of production, right? I don't go on appointments. It's very rare that I'll ever show up to an appointment. I still settle probably 100 properties a year that through investors. You know what I mean? Not just me, but through other investors. And that's a sizable amount of income because I learned and built my business on how they communicate and what language they speak.
That's absolutely right. Now, you did this in the room at EXPCon, and we had like 28 people who got one. So could you give the tip that you gave in the room for the folks who
Absolutely.
were thinking, well, I don't know any investors?
Yep. Yeah. So two big myths we're gonna lay to rest right now. People say, oh man, I don't have enough money. I can't get money, blah, blah, blah. Investors always need access to properties, which you have access to properties. Then you're going to say, well, I don't know enough investors. That's not true either. So if you're listening to this or you're watching this, I want you to go on your phone and just put on Facebook, who wants to invest in a real estate deal with me? ? And we did this multiple times at EXPCon in different sessions. And I think the most commented one was 28 comments. And then you're, oh my God, now what do I do, Brandon? So you just, if you can find, and this is one of the things we'll teach you in Expand Investing, but just change your mindset because you can find it right now. You're just not looking for it. It's like, when's the last time you bought a new car? You never saw that car on the road, and then you see that car in the same color repeatedly. You're just not looking for it. If you can find good deals or deals that investors are looking for in your market, you will always be able to sell them because they always need access to properties.
Yeah. Yeah. And, when I know as a real estate agent, you look at properties a certain way. Is there a different way that you look at properties as a real estate investor? As we're out there in the market and we're trying to find these deals, trying to find these opportunities, how do you look at properties?
Yeah, so here's another thing about why it's such a good idea to understand and get on this investment side and learn this is because when we're approaching a property as an agent, we look at it from one dimension, and that is let me list your property, which there's certainly nothing wrong with that. But when you learn how to become an investor and become a deal architect, there's so many different strategies, right? Me and you were talking about this yesterday. Could I add on to this property? Could I knock the property down, make it a duplex? Could I subdivide a lot off this property? Could I buy the contiguous property to it and create it to a development? By completely changing my frame of thinking of I have the ability to not just list your property, but to be a deal architect, that has made my production skyrocket because I have so many different tools in my toolkit to approach your property versus just listing it. And then if they want to list the property, absolutely, that's something we can do. But the better you get at understanding this side and all the different options, and look, we've seen the landscape of real estate change where the consumer loves options. And the more options you can figure out, the more dangerous you can be when you are talking to them about helping them.
Yeah. Now, so we're doing the Expand Mastermind. We kicked this off at EXPCon in Miami. and we had an outrageous amount of responses already. This is a limited amount of seats. And by the way, I'm taking one of those seats personally. We've already had scores of folks sign up for the Mastermind. What's the thing that you're looking forward to most about Expand Investing?
We talked yesterday, but I'm going to give you a different answer today. So
Okay.
I've coached some of the biggest real estate teams in the United States, some of the biggest agents, on teaching them this. In the last, 3 months, the resounding thing I'm hearing from all of them is, Brandon, you've made real estate fun for me again. And because it's been, let's call it what it is. It's been kind of tough the last couple of years. So what happens on the investing side is it stimulates a different part of your brain. It gets you thinking again. It gets you dreaming again. And it's like, and we're all entrepreneurs. So it's getting us back in this build mode again of, here's all the things that are possible. So besides that, what I'm excited about is I'm literally teaching people financial freedom of, listen, if you take the stuff that I teach you and you implement it, it is going to change your life forever. It's going to change your business forever. It's going to change how you run your business forever. It's going to change how you think. And literally, if you listen to what we say and you implement it, the struggle that we've all faced in our real estate businesses gets way, way less hard, and you just get so much better at your business, and you can build real wealth and get a lot more cash flow. And then you wake up every day and say, man, I'm never going to zero. I don't have to trade time for money anymore. And that's the super excited thing for me. And I've done it, and I've taught so many people how to do it, that you're going to walk in and get a blueprint, and it's turnkey. And we've done this in markets all over the country. And I know, because I was at EXPCon, the caliber of people that are EXP, how many people we're going to make successful. In a year or 2 years from now, we're sitting in a room with them and they're like, Brandon, and EXP and Brian, you guys changed my life. And that's what I'm really excited about.
You're going to change mine and a lot of other EXP agents as well. I know it. You talked about data, and here's something that's interesting. I'm preparing for the session I'm going to do next Thursday on building your strategic plan. And I was looking at Housing Wire, and what Housing Wire said was interesting. They said inventory is around 736,000 in U.S. existing home sales, about 736,000 in inventory. Same time last year and the year before, it was around 550,000. Which is cool, right? We've got a lot more homes coming on the market, a lot of opportunities for sale. Of course, the rates coming down, like Holly talked about, not as fast as we all would like, but they are coming down a little bit. Yeah. That will at least translate to better mortgage rates, not equivalent as Holly shared, but better mortgage rates. All in all, that'll mean more sales, but it will also mean more sellers who are very eager to sell and willing to cut deals on their homes. And that presents a lot of opportunities for us as investors and also working with investors. So this is kind of a perfect time for you to be coming on board and doing this for us. Speaking of doing this, so next Thursday, you're actually doing a free call for everybody on Thursday, the 21st. Do you want to share a little bit about that? And maybe as you do, Randy, if you wouldn't mind putting up the QR code so folks can snapshot to register for that call.
Yeah, so at EXPCon, we had a couple of different sessions where we were able to get into some tactical things like, how you find and work with, sellers who need to sell their house fast, how to work with investors, and then just kind of going into kind of some high level things of understanding from the investment side. And Brian, the other thing that I'm excited about is we're not just going to talk about investing, we're going to talk about money and wealth. We're going to teach you about how to manage money, how to invest money, how to build wealth. And so those are some of the things that I'm going to talk about. I just don't want to show you how to go out there and make the money, because it's not just what you make, it's what you keep. And we, in our world in real estate, we are favorably rewarded for investing in real estate from a tax perspective. And there's all kinds of things from that standpoint that we're going to teach in the mastermind. I'm going to talk about next Thursday as well. So we're just going to give you a short master class on how you get on this side of the investing side to kind of really change the landscape of your business and make you a lot more money and keep more money in your pocket.
All right. Well, hey, thank you for doing it. And thanks for coming on today and sharing a little bit with us. I will see you next Thursday, if not sooner. And I hope you all will as well. Brendan, thanks so much, man.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
All right. And Russ, thanks for letting us come hang out, man. Back to you.
All right. Thank you very much, Brian. Appreciate that. Have a good weekend. All right. There you go. Brandon Brittingham. This guy is a wealth of knowledge. And I think one of the things that I really liked when I've heard him talking before was he just makes it really simple and approachable for the average person, where most of us say, wow, man, like this investor thing is a big, hairy deal. And he actually breaks it down into some really simple stuff that actually most of you guys can do. So make sure you check him out. Super sharp guy and just a heart of gold, of course, with a ton of background to go with it. Good stuff. All right. So there you go. Let's drop in here. So let's QR code time. Let's drop a quick QR code here, guys. All we've got left here is to talk about, well, actually, let's see, KGCI Radio. Want to make sure we hit up KGCI Radio. Almost forgot to do that one, guys. And KGCI Radio is hitting every single week, guys. Hit it on your normal Spotify, hit it on Apple Play, all of those things. If you haven't joined and watched the hundreds of real estate agents downloading KGCI Radio, make sure you do that. Gives you something to do when you're in the car and you're on the treadmill, you're going out for a walk, jump that on there and get your brain full of good stuff. It works really, really good, and it's free for you guys. Tens of thousands of pros just like you have turned to Real Estate On Air's proven answers to the KGCI business questions. Scan the QR code right there and you'll be able to download KGCI Radio and get that going on your phone now. Now, with that said, QR code, if you guys could hit this, grab a photo, open that thing up. Let us know in the survey how we did. Give us a scale. Give us a score on the scale of 1 to 10. Let us know how we're doing. Give us some feedback. And if you got something you want to see different or something new you want to see, don't hesitate to throw that in there also. We appreciate every single one of you that gives us feedback every single week from this so we can keep making the show better and better and better. I hope you loved what we had today. So last but not least, we have an icon video recognizing all of the icons for the month. And then it's followed up by iConversation. Stay tuned. Check out and congratulate all the icons that happened in the US in EXP in the last month. Go ahead, roll the video.